The Bull Run watershed is protected by an act of Congress, unlike other watersheds across the nation.
Do you know anything about what's going on with the corporate takeover of water here in Portland?
Nope.
The citizens are not aware of what is coming down the pike and what could happen to their precious water here and to their water rights.
No, I don't know a thing about it.
What's happened with our water system, we were under LT1 rule, long-term treatment, and we were following that rule.
Bulbs that are used in ultraviolet radiation contain mercury, and because they contain mercury, the mercury would, after the bulb breakage, would make its way into the water. And there's no healthy standard for mercury in our drinking water.
There's been no cryptospirilliosis ever found in our water supplies.
The city is like, if you can't tell what's in the water, cover it, because it's safer.
In the 100 years of the Bull Run system and in the other open reservoirs throughout the United States, there's never been a death from microbial or chemical intervention.
If we put it underground, you can't keep it safe because water will die. Water needs the sun. Water's alive.
We have sampling that takes place daily in the open reservoirs looking for microorganisms, and they continually come up very clean. On the other hand, covered reservoirs have had significant deaths because birds have been able to get into the drinking water under the covers through the ventilation pipes, and have been able to roost there for significant periods of time, allowing for significant contamination.
The conglomerates that are taking over the water systems all over the nation, what they do is indebt the system.
I have heard about, covering the reservoirs perhaps, but no detail on privatization or anything.
They got in bed with the EPA at one point. They took away our grandfathering in of our reservoirs.
Corporations that have interests in the ultraviolet radiation have played a part in getting that through the EPA regulation process. People who chaired the committee from EPA that made the decision also had corporate interess, and one of them was the boss of one of the corporate engineers that is overseeing the Portland projects and has the contracts for that. So corporations have been a very big part of this in undue influence and unscrupulous behavior.
The Portland Water Bureau is already acting like a private company because they are showing that they are more interested in helping corporations than they are in the public and the citizenry here.
Here is a city that wants to support the 99%. Is it just wanting to look good and then still doing the 1%?
It's one thing for Apple computers to be private. It's another thing for our clean water to be private. We need to get the corporations out of the public works.
What's next? Are they going to patent air and then you're going to have to buy that too?
And if they're going to privatize water, it's just fucking going to tear this country apart.
The fact that we have to comply is really costing the city a lot of money.
You know they're trying to raise the water rates by 85%.
I don't see how they could even think about getting away with that.
The cost of the projects for the open reservoirs to be covered is $400 million plus double that to $800 million for the debt service over the period of time it would take to pay off the bonds. And the ultraviolet radiation is $100 million plus. And again, that would add another $100 million. So it would be over $1 billion in the end. People are now resorting to using credit cards to pay for their water bills, which is only adding to their debt. The elected officials have admitted to that point that we do not need it. They say that they have to follow the EPA regulations.
If we stuck to the one issue and we stuck with the water, I think we would unravel from the water to the city to the 1% to the banks all the way to Wall Street.
New York has been able to get a waiver about that, but here they've been telling us all along that we can't get a waiver.
In New York City and New York State, Senator Schumer has stood up and been a very vocal opponent of covering the reservoir in New York City, Hillview Reservoir. They are looking forward to a waiver provision for their reservoir to remain open.
What can we do about it? I guess I will be asking perhaps the women and the children of our community then to stand up, because it's our drinking water.
The best thing that our citizens can do is to write and call their congressional delegation and the city elected officials for the city of Portland.
We need them to ask for a waiver from the LT2 rule.
We have animals and we have pets and we see the birds in the sky. Everything relies upon the waters. Everything.
The Bull Run watershed has no sewage exposure, which has been the primary source of cryptosporidium incidents in municipally treated drinking water.